Welcome to Jets Talk. My name's Ryan. I'll be your pilot. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you've been here before, welcome back. I love having you here. Boys and girls, I want to talk a little bit more about the Elijah Moore trade. I saw a very interesting post over on Jet Nation. Thought it was worth bringing up. Every now and then I come up with these different posts or things that I just find interesting across the internet, so no overarching known source or anything along those lines, purely just fan speculation and a conversation that was had at the Barclays Center between an agent and another attorney, or I guess a few attorneys is what it seems like. So let's look at it. Let's talk a little bit about it. I thought it was interesting. So at the Barclays Center this evening, this is how the post starts. At the Barclays Center this evening, I was sitting in a suite with a few attorneys. I am an attorney, but you probably don't care. I did check this guy's profile. He seems like a mortgage lender, so I guess maybe attorney or something along those lines could suit. Whatever. And one is a player agent who preferred not to be mentioned. He said that since last year, after Elijah Moore demanded a trade, it was thought that he came back to play and let go of his trade demand. That never happened. In fact, if you look into his Twitter posts, from that point on, he stressed Bible verses about being disrespected and minimized by Jets coaching and management, not calling them out directly, but subtly quoting certain passages and circling parts which mention those specific things. This has been a concern with New York Jets management, and once the Jets signed Allen Lazard and the OBJ rumors started up, he, not publicly this time, demanded to be traded again. Cleveland had made an offer earlier on. The Jets reconnected with them. A few other teams made lowball offers. Cleveland was the only team that would give us a second-round pick. So I want to talk about that first paragraph first, then we'll go into some of this other stuff. This is interesting to me because I had assumed, like this poster is saying, that Elijah Moore had put his trade request behind them and that this may have been a move because Joe Douglas was upset that the Jets wanted to I thought this might have been a move where Douglas was upset that Elijah Moore kind of stirred the pot, and then he wound up getting traded at the first opportunity the Jets had after the season. So this is interesting. Him coming out and saying, hey, Lazard comes over here, OBJ possible going to come over here. I know I'm not going to be seeing a whole bunch of targets. I want to get traded. This time, Elijah Moore goes behind the scenes to do it as opposed to airing it out in public. I think that was at least a step in the right direction for Elijah Moore from a maturity standpoint, if this is true. The article or post goes on to say, the Jets felt that if it were leaked out that he had demanded a trade again, we would lose leverage and wouldn't have even gotten what we did for him. The agent also told me Moore and Saleh were not on speaking terms from the time he asked for a trade midseason and then was sent home until he was traded. Mike LaFleur and Moore had talked and Moore apologized to him. So Robert Saleh clearly irritated by everything that went on with Elijah Moore in season. I'm actually pretty impressed that it was able to stay bottled up the way it has. Joe Douglas, since he has been here, there has been no leaks coming out of this organization, which I'd imagine if you're Aaron Rodgers is probably like feeling pretty good about this, given all the whirlwind that's going on with him too. So, yeah, I think the Jets would have lost leverage if this trade demand wound up coming out, because now you have a receiver that has demanded a trade twice. Are you actually going to be able to net what equivalent value wound up being like the 69th pick in the draft? Jets traded a third-round pick in Elijah Moore to get a second-round pick number 42 for Elijah Moore, so the difference in that pick is about a third-round pick. So we got third-round value for Elijah Moore. The last bit of this is very interesting as well. I am just passing on the info. Don't know how true it is. The agent also said the Jets under Joe Douglas had been offered trades for many of their draft picks from 2020 and 2021, including Becton, Mims, and Moore, not Zach Wilson apparently, and refused to engage in, as their preference is to keep their young guys and not give up on them. But they were forced into a corner with Moore and had to get rid of him while they could still salvage a decent pick. And before OTAs, where it was likely he wouldn't have shown up. So really, really interesting notes here. And this is not saying anything that I would deem to be like outlandish or crazy. Like, I think if you're a fan reading this whole article, you're probably feeling pretty, plugged in. Or I don't know about plugged in, but you're probably saying like, okay, yeah, I could totally see that being the case. And that's really nice from the New York Jets perspective, both from like, the trade demand from Elijah Moore, not requesting it publicly. Jets got a little bit more for him, seemingly. And then that last bit talking about the Jets being offered picks for some of their young talent. So 2020 draft picks like Mekhi Becton, Denzel Mims, 2021 draft picks like Elijah Moore. It's interesting for me because I've speculated that the Jets do obviously see a lot of value in having former first-round picks or high-round picks and allowing them to develop. I think that's really important, but I think it's cool that the team has not given up on the young players. And even Elijah Moore, who seems to have, really pissed off Joe Douglas and everyone in season, the Jets weren't necessarily looking to maybe move him until the second trade request was made, and he wasn't going to eventually show up to those organized team activities when things start, blowing up, and then the value really drops, right? When you have a disgruntled player, they want out. The Jets clearly, looking to go in a different direction. I think it makes a lot of sense. So I do think this this post on this forum is probably, if it's not spot on, it's clearly well thought out. It is a very, very interesting thought process here. So I guess I want to hear from you guys. Is there any interest in what this post was? Do you take any credit in it? Do you think there's any, I don't know, do you think it's just some fan making up some bullshit? I guess it's possible. I don't know. This is what you come here for. I'm not a news site. I'm a fan giving my opinion about other shit I hear on the internet. So there you go. There it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. How do you feel about Elijah Moore, the trade that happened with the Cleveland Browns, and do you think there really was a second trade request involved? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.